Good morning, everyone watching over in the States, or good afternoon if you're here South African time with me. At the moment, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon here. This lesson, I am joined by a fourth grade class from Ontario, Burlington. So guys, thank you so much for joining. And today we're going to be learning about oil spills. Now, SANCCOB, which is where I work, the Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds. We are an animal hospital, but we work with seabirds, and we are an oil spill specialist. Now, we're not the best in the world, but we have been involved in some amazing oil spill rescue missions. And the one that we're going to be focusing on today is actually, to this date, still the largest animal rescue mission in history, which was the Treasure oil spill, which happened in 2000, and it involved the oiling of 20,000 birds in one spill. And this was a huge deal. Right now, there are only about 18,000 breeding pairs left of the African penguin. I don't have a penguin with me today, but if you guys tune in on Friday, you'll be able to meet the penguin. But the African penguin kind of looks like this guy over here. So if you think that there are only about 18,000 breeding pairs left of this bird, and this spill affected 20,000 African penguins, if all of those penguins had died, it would have had a huge impact on the population. So today we're going to be learning about that oil spill. Now, I actually have a video to show you, thanks to our friends at I4, who have the copyright to this video and who helped very, very much with the spill. Because obviously, SANCCOB, we couldn't do something this size on our own. So thank you to I4 and to everyone that was involved in the oil spill in 2000. So I'm going to show you this video so you can see a little bit more. All right, cool. So that was some footage that was actually taken during the treasure oil spill. And like I said, it actually was the largest animal rescue mission in history. Now, at SANCCOB in our hospital, we can't really accommodate more than max 1,000 birds here. So when there was a spill with 20,000 birds basically on our doorstep, we had to come up with another plan, which is why we actually wound up using an airport hangar to so that we could watch the birds and keep them there because there wasn't nearly enough space here at the facility. Now, what's quite cool about penguins is that they've got an indoor, GPS tracking system. So because when some of these guys were ready for release, the beaches in Cape Town weren't clean yet, they still had lots of oil on them, we needed to transport the birds to Port Elizabeth, which is quite far away from here. It's about a 7-hour drive. So we wound up transporting a lot of these birds to Port Elizabeth because we knew that when we put them in the water in PE, that the penguins were so clever that they would swim all the way back to Cape Town because they know that this is where they're from. Now, during the time when we released penguins in Port Elizabeth, there were 3 penguins, Pamela, Percy, and Peter, that had little backpacks, like tracking backpacks on them. And then every night on the news, you could tune in and watch and see how far along they were on their way back home. And this was such a nice story that someone has even made a storybook about Peter, Pamela, and Percy. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to read the story to you because I think my accent is probably a little bit crazy. So I've got a recorded version of the storybook, and we can watch that together, and you guys can hear the story. And remember, this is a true story. So Peter, Pamela, and Percy were real penguins that were involved in the spill.
Peter?
Oh, sorry. Ah, my word. Okay, wait, I'm going to start it again. Sorry.
Peter, Pamela, and Percy in the big spill by Lulu and T. You can't imagine anything sweeter. 3 African penguins, Percy, Pamela, and Peter. They're small, but they're fast. They come up to your knee. They eat fish, they're all black and white, and they live by the sea. Then one day, the thunder was rolling and the lightning was crackling. As the storm rolled on in, the sailors were battling. The waves were enormous, well, so I'm told. Poor treasure, how she rocked and she rolled. The wind blew a gale that pushed her to shore. It blew and it pushed her some more. But try as I might, the storm thundered on, and all hope of saving the treasure was gone. At last all was still, but do you know what they found? They found that the treasure had run aground. She was stuck in the sand, she was stuck good and fast. It was clear she was going nowhere as every day passed. With every shudder and every shake, the hull of the ship started to break. Oh, the things it would ruin and the things it would spoil if that hull split apart and spilt all its oil. Many penguins were out that day having fun. When they came across oil, and oil by the ton, Peter said, "We better get out of the water real quick, else we'll swim slap bang into this huge oil slick." "This isn't good," said dear little Percy. "The oil is lethal. It has absolutely no mercy. Too late." In a flash, they were covered from their beaks to their flippers. Their bodies felt like lead, and their feet felt like slippers. Oil stuck to their feathers like glue to a stick. If they didn't get help fast, they'd get really sick. Help came in droves from near and from far. They were rescued by boat. They were rescued by car. All the helpers were issued with bright yellow suits, with hats and with gloves, and with Wellington boots. They took all the birds to a shelter near town and fed them, tagged them, and scrubbed them down. At last, all the birds were ready to swim, but the sea was still filthy, so they went out on a limb. They packed all the birds in a box on a truck and shipped them out east to swim west with some luck. The birds did just that without missing a beat. They headed straight for the water and swam it in a fleet. Penguins can't fly through the sky as other birds do, but my, they can fly through the water. It's true. They were swimming along when they got a huge fright. Good grief, shouted Percy. There's a great white. Pamela froze. Don't worry, said Peter. We'll swim deep down. He's a surface eater. They dived to the bottom and along they snuck. It seemed today that they were in luck. The shark looked so mean, and he seemed to frown. He was terribly hungry, but he didn't look down. Phew, that was close. Peter heaved a great sigh. Sometimes I wish these flippers could fly. Let's get for Boulders. There we can rest. I have a few friends there. They'll share their nest. They got there quite quickly. It had been a good run. They rested and chatted and slept in the sun. It was time to head on to get back on their feet. They cruised round Cape Point where the two oceans meet. Wow, chirped Pam. That's a tail and a half. It must be a southern right whale and her calf. With grace and with speed, they swam down the coast, back to Cape Town, the city that they loved the most. By the time they got home, the beaches were clean, the sea was all sparkly, and the birds were pristine. Their friends threw a party to welcome them back. They'd seen Pete on TV with his trekking backpack. What an adventure they'd had. How exciting. What fun. This was just the start. They had only begun.
Cool, eh? So that was the real story of Peter, Pamela, and Percy and how they made their way back from Port Elizabeth to Cape Town after the treasure oil spill of 2000. Now, guys, SANCCOB is the only group in South Africa that is mandated to respond to oil spills. So if you ever come across an oiled bird, I do not recommend that you pick it up and wash it yourself. It's very, very stressful for the animal to be washed. So if you ever do see an oiled bird, please call your nearest authority that works with oil spills or with oiled birds. So now I'm going to actually open up to any questions that you guys have about oil spills, or in particular the treasure oil spill, or any other spill that SANCCOB has been involved in. So if anyone is watching this on YouTube later on, you can stop the lesson here because we're going to Q&A, or if you want, you can watch and see what some of the other kids ask. But please keep in mind that oil spills are still a huge problem. There aren't massive oil spills every day, but SANCCOB does still deal with oiled birds every single year, and it's definitely not something that happens once in a blue moon. It still is quite a big reality for these birds and the trouble that they face. So guys, thanks for watching. For those of you who are just tuning in for the lesson part, if you want to support SANCCOB, please go to www.sanccob.co.za. SANCCOB is spelled SANCCOB, and you guys can adopt a penguin to help us keep saving thousands of the endangered African penguin as well as other protected seabirds. Thanks. All right, so you guys, I'm going to turn on your mic so I can hear you. We've got a few minutes, so if you've got some questions for me, go for it.
I'm Charlotte. What's it like cleaning a penguin?
It's a little bit scary. They bite. They really, really do bite. I only work with the tame penguins and the ambassador birds here, but the few interactions I've had with the wild birds that are here for rehab is really scary because they can give you some very mean bites. We've even had people go in for stitches from penguin bites. But it's also really cool to watch them eat because they swallow their fish whole in just this one massive gulp. So it's cool, but it's also a little scary because you don't want to get bitten.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and where do you get fish to feed them?
Well, we buy the fish in bulk. We'll buy lots and lots of tons at the same time because it becomes very expensive if we were just buying a little bit at a time. So we'll buy from a fishery. It's not always the same place because it also depends on where we're getting fish from. So right now, for example, we're not even buying fish in South Africa. We're having to import it in from another country because the fish that we want to use isn't nearby. So it depends. It comes from different places.
Hi, my name is Christopher, and I was wondering, can oil clog the penguin's mouth, the bird?
Sorry, you're gonna have to say that again. I didn't quite get that.
Can oil clog penguins' throats?
Does the oil go into their mouths?
Yes, yes. Okay, so penguins clean their feathers. They kind of take their beaks and they go nom, 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 and they clean their feathers like that. So if they've got oil on their feathers and then they start cleaning themselves with their beaks, they're actually going to start swallowing some of this oil and some of this rubbish, and some of it does actually wind up in their mouths, which is why we need to wash them as soon as we can. But it's also tricky because we can't wash them straight away. So if the bird comes in and we wash it that day, it's very, very stressful for the animal. So we do have to wait a couple days for the bird to stabilize, and in that time it does clean itself and it can get some oil in its mouth. So we can't wait too long, otherwise it's going to start to see the effects of poisoning. Because I mean, obviously, even just for people, if we left oil on our skin for a few days, we wouldn't feel very good. So yeah, it does get in their mouths. It definitely does happen like that as well.
I'm Marley, and were baby penguins in the oil spill?
Yes, there were some baby penguins in the oil spill. In fact, we've even had a spill quite recently that had baby penguins involved in it for chicks. Now, the thing is, when an oiled chick comes in, their rehabilitation takes a bit longer than it does for an adult penguin because chicks are covered with this fluff, and so they're born with this fluff on them, or they hatch with the fluff on them, and then when they're about 3 months old, the fluff is mostly off. But if they get oil on them and they're covered with this fluff, it makes our job a little bit tougher because it's not as easy to wash them. And also, I mean, they're young, so they get sick a bit easier than the adults do. So we do have baby penguins involved in oil spills, and there definitely were little ones involved in the big oil spill that you saw now. So guys, I can take one more question, and then I need to disconnect so the next session can start for exploring by the seat of your pants.
Hi, my name's Haley, and how long does it take to clean 100 penguins?
It depends how many people you have, Haley. So if there's one bucket and those 2 people are washing that one bird, that can take a very, very, very long time. So it depends on how oiled the bird is. So if we're just doing a little spot clean, that doesn't take too long. You know, that can take like 20 minutes. But if we are washing a bird that has quite a bit of oil on them, We don't want to wash for more than an hour tops because it's very stressful for the birds to be washed for that amount of time. So if it happens that we wash for 40 minutes to an hour and the oil isn't all off, then we'll stop washing the bird and we'll wait a couple days and then we'll wash them again. So that's a difficult question to answer 100 birds. It depends on how many people you have and it depends on how badly they're oiled, but it would take a really long time. It definitely wouldn't be like everyone just washes for, it's not like we put them all in this room and we give them a shower and throw soap on them and then they all get cleaned at the same time. It's very labor intensive and every bird requires 2 people minimum for the washing. All right, guys, so thank you so much for your awesome questions. I really enjoyed them. Unfortunately, I've got to log off now so the next session can start. But bye, and I hope that you have a lovely day. And please tune into our next lesson so you can meet some of our penguins. Bye. Bye.